And hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the Snakeman's Lair. Joining me today for an interview is fellow Italian and fellow herpetologist Ignazio Avella, currently residing in Spain. Hi, Ignazio. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So let's go straight to the point. In the meantime, we still have this cute picture of a smooth snake that Ignazio shared a couple of minutes ago to test the image upload, the image upload button. So yeah, this will keep us company for the entire interview, I guess. But I mean, there's that's not a problem to me. So. So let's start again from the as per usual from the very beginning, Ignazio. So how did you get so much into reptiles and into snakes specifically? How did it all start for you, and where did it get you?
Okay, that's an interesting question. So let's see. I would say it started more or less in the high school. I would say I started being interested in. Actually, first of all, I was interested in birds. Now that I think of it, like there are many pathologists I realize that are interested first in birds, and then eventually, develop this interest for the scaly part. And yeah, I don't know. I was always kind of driven to study nature. I was always very interested since a very, very young age. And again, in high school, I started like paying particular attention to zoology in general and birds. But after a while, I realized that I was really a lot into raptors. I was really enjoying like looking at hawks and owls, and so that are in the end you can see them more or less everywhere in southern Italy. So it wasn't that difficult to see them. But at some point, I realized, yeah, but in the end, they're like chicken. Like if they don't fly and they're on the floor, it's more or less all the same. So I don't know. I wanted something more peculiar, something more special. And so I started getting interested in the unloved part of the zoology, which is of vertebrate zoology, which are in the end amphibians and reptiles. I think I started liking them because they were kind of weird, and I realized that they're always a bit overlooked. So
oh yeah, definitely.
I got into that. At the beginning, I was like, fantastic! Like I cannot really choose between amphibians and reptiles. I will go for both of them. But after a while, I realized that I was enjoying the scaly stuff way more than amphibians, and so eventually I decided, okay, you know what? I'm gonna specialize just in snakes, and let's see where this goes. So yeah, I went studying biological sciences in Naples, which is where I'm from, at least where I'm from in Italy. And after that, I started, specializing more and more into evolutionary biology, which was to me more appealing than conservation because, well, for a number of reasons, which could just very easily be described as passion. I was realizing I was getting more interested in the evolutionary part. And so yeah, I tried molecular biology. This was my thesis for the master, which I did in Rome, studying the Western whip snake. But of course, I realized I was enjoying the field part of sampling the snakes way more than the lab part. And so, I arrived at a point where I was like, I really don't know what to do now. Because yes, lab is important, molecular biology, of course, it's a very interesting field, but I realized I was more of a field guy rather than a lab guy. And so I took a bit of time to realize exactly what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go with this. Doing some field experience outside of Italy, outside of Europe. I had the chance to travel a bit, volunteering and so. When eventually I realized, okay, you know what? I actually like snakes. I'm really, really into snakes. I actually want to go work with Venom. Of course, it's one of the coolest features of snakes, I would say. And so I got myself convinced to start a PhD finally. So I pursued and eventually I got one, which was focusing on venoms. And I'm quite happy with it at the moment.
Oh well, that sounds like one hell of a background.
I don't know. It's good. I cannot complain. I don't know if it's a hell of a background, but yeah, I got some experience. I would say that. Yes.
Oh yeah, and just a little digression. So to the audience, like since I haven't seen any comments yet. Like, can you guys follow us? Like, is everything okay? Can you see us? Or so, if there's any problem, just drop a comment in the chat, and we'll see what we can do about that. So. Yeah, you said that indeed you're from Naples, and you studied here in Italy. And so, as since I've been asked this quite on several occasions as well, because yeah, surprisingly enough, there is more than two people in Italy who are into reptiles. Yeah. so, what do you think there are? What do you think are the best opportunities or best places to go in Italy for people who want to pursue a career in anything related to wildlife or herpetology in particular?
Well, that's a good question. I have to admit that I'm a bit out of the Italian university, Italian academia part. So I really don't know exactly which are the best groups in Italy that at the moment are working on wildlife and specifically reptiles. I can tell you there is an interesting group which I'm collaborating with, which is in Rome, La Sapienza University of Rome, and which mainly work on the molecular biology part of reptiles. Specifically, they work a lot on, I don't know, wall lizards, for example, on the whip snake, where it's actually the lab in La Sapienza is where I developed my master. So I was quite happy with the results, with how things went there. Then in the end, Italy is probably one of the best places in Europe to study reptiles. I think it is the largest herpetofauna in Europe. It was in the end Ignazio refugia, so it makes sense that there are a lot of species, that can be studied there, like the Balkan Peninsula or the Iberian Peninsula. If you want to work with herbs in Europe, I would really recommend to go there. For sure, they're the richest parts. I don't know. I heard there are very good. There is a good school in the University of Pavia, if I'm not mistaken, and but I would try to focus on studying reptiles and amphibians in the south, because from what I recall, it's where the highest diversity is.
Oh yeah, no, for that, at least from what I know, I agree. But again, let's just like you, I moved abroad basically right after high school, so I'm not that familiar with the Italian herb scene. I'm trying to make up for that now that I'm stuck here because of the pandemic. But still, it is definitely true, like what you said, that there are quite great opportunities to study to work with herbs in Europe as well. Even though sometimes, like, you hear, like, especially I would say American herpers or reptile enthusiasts making fun of us in Europe because we allegedly have no herbs. So yeah, this interview is basically a big in your face to those people.
Because we try to compete for sure.
Exactly, because yeah, right now you live in Spain. You're working in Valencia, and you are working on venoms from European vipers. So what can you, of course, compatibly with the secrecy that comes with unpublished work, what can you tell us about that?
What can I tell you? I can tell you about my project for sure. Like, it focuses around Mediterranean vipers in general. So it was supposed to be about Iberian vipers because specifically I'm a PhD student at the University of Porto in Portugal. And here in Valencia, I'm developing like the lab part with snake venomics in the laboratory of Juan Jose Calvete, which maybe some of you that are interested in venoms could know. And the fact is that I wanted to focus on Iberian vipers and Moroccan vipers. Then probably some of you already noticed there has been a global pandemic, so it's not that easy anymore.
I think I might have heard about that. Yeah,
maybe someone noticed exactly. So it's not that easy to go around sampling, to be fair, especially in Morocco. In Morocco, it's really quite challenging because, of course, you have these immense, spaces where snakes could just hide everywhere, and it really takes a good effort to find a good sample size, to get a good sample size. And I've been able to go there twice, but then everything stopped, basically. So right now I'm focusing mainly, at least. I also have some samples, but I don't know if I'll be able to get something very good out of it, out of Moroccan vipers. But right now my main focus is on Iberian vipers. So specifically the two of the three species that you can find in the Iberian Peninsula, which are Latast viper, Vipera lataste, and the Cantabrian adder, which is Vipera sioane. Currently, I'm working on specifically on Vipera lataste, and Vipera sioane is just the next step. So what are we doing now? What we are doing now is just the characterization of the venom components present inside the venom of both species, which crazily enough has never been described so far. There is absolutely nothing known. Nothing is known about the venom of these two species. Even if they say, "Ah, come on, Europe, you don't have that many snakes. So come on, you don't have." You don't have any kind of problems to access like good labs to analyze it and everything. But no, just no one really got a proper look into the venom of these two snakes.
So maybe could that be because of because they don't pose a serious or at least a major clinical threat to people, that their venom hasn't hasn't attracted particular attention, like instead something like a rattlesnake or a cobra would?
I would say that this is very likely the main reason, yes, because in the end, like if you get bitten by a Vipera lataste or Vipera sioane, you're gonna get a reaction, of course, and it could be also life-threatening for sure. But the fact is that compared to other countries, like for example, as you were mentioning, the US or, for example, Latin America or Africa, where for sure snakebite is way of a bigger problem than in Europe, the fact is that in the Iberian Peninsula you can access good hospitals which will give you proper care and very likely have good antivenom to give you, more or less everywhere. Like the number of casualties is quite low. And again, this is a bit of a mantra of the snakebite, at least in Europe, which are the most affected classes. The age class is always about the kids, the babies, the young ones, and of course old people. But in general, let's say that although both Vipera lataste and Vipera sioane are listed as medically important by WHO, the bite is probably the consequences of the bite are not as hard as the consequences of a crotalus, of a rattlesnake, or of other snakes around the world for sure. I think it's the main reason why these snakes are a bit overlooked.
Oh yeah, that's also interesting, because like you recently were among the authors of a paper that reviewed the all the anything basically, yeah, the current knowledge about the venom of the genus Vipera, which is the main venomous snake clade in Western Europe, at least, and even Central Europe as well. And some of these vipers, even though they are not known for causing excessive medical issues in their range, have venoms that are quite a force to be reckoned with. Like they are definitely not harmless when it comes to toxicity.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in the review you're talking about, we had to deal, for example, with Vipera modites, which is it was among the 6 vipers that we were talking about, and we chose these 6 species based on the number of accidents that they cause in Europe. So that's why like it was like the top 6 on a matter of frequency, on how often they cause snakebite accidents. And we saw that Vipera modites is probably the most studied one, in the sense that there are a lot of works about it, and yeah, you can see that the amount of toxin families, the number of toxin families inside the venom of the species is very interesting. Also, you have like quite some considerable variation in the effects that the venom of the species of the genus Vipera can cause. You have cytotoxic effect, hemotoxic effect, and also in some cases neurotoxic effect. So you have the whole, a plethora of effects that can come out, basically, that can follow a bite. And it was super interesting because actually, it was also a nice exercise. Since it was a review, you had to read a lot of papers to decide exactly what to write, and it was fun to see that, for example, Viper aspis, the asp viper that we have it also in Italy, and is not considered as particularly important, at least in general in Italy. You can see that there are some populations in France that can show some neurotoxic effects, which is crazy. We don't have that in Italy, for example. We don't have that as marked as in France, at least.
Oh yeah, for sure. There is definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if there was even wider variation within and between species, considering what you also said, that at least quite a few populations have been completely neglected from a toxinological point of view, because indeed they are thought that they are not considered medically significant.
Yeah, it could be the case. Absolutely, it could be the case, and that's what I'm also like trying to determine when with my PhD. In the end, it is focusing on interpopulational and intrapopulational variation, because sometimes in the same population you can have different venom phenotypes. You can have different venom composition within the same population, which is super interesting. Because of course, if you think that the dogma, the general dogma is that venom evolves based on what are the selective pressures that are dictated by, let's say, trophic ecology, like feeding. That's supposedly the main reason why venom evolved, and that's the main driver of venom evolution. If you find different kinds of venom in the same species, more within the same population, for sure there are some drivers acting on there. And to me, this is super interesting to investigate.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like yeah, I totally agree. That is perhaps what I find most interesting about snake venom as well. Now that I finally have the chance to work on it too. It's a long wait, but definitely worth it. So yeah, because it's crazy to think like how even within a single population you can capture one individual from one locality, and then 5 kilometers away you capture another individual, and you see completely different venom compositions. That is just insane.
Yeah. It's fantastic, and also you have like variation within the same individual. You have this so-called ontogenetic shift, which to me is super interesting, and it's something that is almost ubiquitous. Like you can find it almost everywhere. Of course, we have some exceptions. For example, I remember there is the neotropical rattlesnake that Crotalus. I think it was Crotalus durissus.
Yes,
Durissus. I think they didn't find any kind of ontogenetic shift because, but again, they correlated it with the fact that both the juveniles and the adults of the species. I'm not sure it was durissus, but anyway, it was a neotropical rattlesnake. Basically, there was no dietary shift. The adults and the juveniles were eating more or less the same thing, so the venom stayed there. There were not big differences in there, but sometimes you have proper like over more than qualitative changes also.
Oh yeah, I think the example you were referring to, that was the South American rattlesnake, Crotalus durissus, which is that one is known for having at least some subspecies have a very potently neurotoxic venom throughout their lives, like from birth to death, where in other rattlesnake species you only have the neurotoxic phenotype in juveniles, and then adults lose it once they age. So that's that's perhaps the most famous example. But like you said, it's how do we know that something like this wouldn't occur in European vipers either? So the only way to know is actually looking into their venom, which is what you're doing. What you're doing right now.
Yeah. This is what came out, like the picture that came out from the review actually, and that it's almost known, even if maybe not formally described. They are a bit overlooked, in the sense like the description of the venom components of many European species is sometimes fragmentary. Like there has been a focus, of course, on what are the most medically important species, like the one that can cause the worst effects, supposedly, like Vipera modites, Vipera berus, so and horned viper, and so on. But there are all the other vipers that are present in the continent are a bit overlooked, I would say.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. Ultimately, yeah, that's that's the main reason why these studies like this are so sorely needed. And so about the also about your work with Venom. So you mentioned your supervisor Juan José Calvete from the Instituto de Biomedicina de Valencia. My Spanish pronunciation is horrible. I apologize in advance to to all our Hispanic to our Hispanic audience. So he truly is a big name in the field of toxinology. If anyone in the audience is not familiar with him, especially because he pioneered a new methodology, a new framework. By which to study snake venoms, which he termed snake venomics. So would you please explain to our audience what exactly this consists of?
Yeah, sure. I can try to make it less boring than what it may sound like, but yeah, it's yes. So it's basically the study of the venom components, starting from the concept that of course venom components are toxins, and toxins in the end are proteins. So it's basically the application of proteomic studies, protein studies, to try and determine which are the families of toxins present in a venom. In specifically, the Valencia protocol, as we call it, is made of bottom-up venomics. Bottom-up because basically what we have is that we get the raw venom, lyophilize it, or not. Well, lyophilize it, it helps you to preserve it like in an easier way, let's say, more easily. You get the venom, you put it into reverse phase, high product liquid chromatography device, which is very nice, but you can just call it HPLC. Basically, you get you get a first like look at the profile, at the venom profile. What you get is like a chromatogram, with different peaks. And what you want to do is to divide these peaks and analyze exactly what is inside each one of them. And so you go through it with electrophoresis gel, trypsin, which trypsin digestion, which cuts the protein in determined stops, let's say determined places. So what you get at the end is like the peptides that were creating the proteins, the peptides that compose the proteins. So in the end, it's like getting the protein, cutting it into pieces, and then trying to reassemble these little pieces. How? Using databases. The database that we use is like the most commonly used one, which is the NCBI database. So we basically go for blast research in the sense that you just put as an input the list that you get that corresponds to the peptide that you have, PKL files they're called, and then eventually you look what the database gives you back. Of course, this is clearly, as by definition, a database dependent method. So the more specific the database, the more like complete the database is, the better your results are going to be.
Oh yeah, that's for sure, absolutely. But thank you for explaining the whole process. And actually, this ties up nicely with the question that we just got from Wilson here. He's saying, "Hi, very interesting talk. I wonder if there is any studies about how to make profit of some compound of viper's venoms that maybe could be valuable for developing medicines or pharmaceutical products."
That's a very good question, and yes, I would say that yes, there are studies like looking at what the effects of snake venom are, but not only snakes. I remember there have been some pharmacological products developed by, for example, the Gila monster venom, and I think it works against diabetes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm sure they're trying to test like cytotoxic venoms to fight against cancer. I remember this, and then there are also, for example, elapid snakes. Let's say mambas, cobras, or coral snakes. Have venoms that are usually quite rich in neurotoxins, and I think they're trying to maybe they also developed that. I'm not really sure about it, but I think they were trying to test them for to treat pain. Basically, they were trying to use a lapid venom to treat pain and to create analgesic pharmaceutical products. But yeah, it's not exactly what I'm into, but for sure there are some applications that could be explored with the insane amount of components, the insane diversity of components that are present in snake venoms.
Oh yeah, and that is also I think that's also a great argument for when people ask, because they do ask, believe me, like, why do you even bother protecting venomous snakes in the first place? Well, indeed, because from you can there is great like biodiscovery potential in snake venoms. Like yeah, you said that you mentioned yeah the neurotoxins used as painkillers or cytotoxins that can be are being tested for the treatment of cancer, or even like yeah one that I would mention is the captopril, which is a antihypertensive drug that is used it was used to it has long been the main medicine for to treat hypertension, and that one was derived from the venom of a South American pit viper. So yeah, this is definitely something to keep in mind when someone comes at you claiming that venomous snakes are useless.
I admit I had no idea about this. To be fair, I didn't know about this, but it's super interesting to know now. Thank you. So I didn't know. I didn't know.
For bringing it up.
And yeah, sorry. I think I didn't hear you. The connection sometimes
Oh
goes.
no, I said thank you for bringing up the topic in the first place.
Well, thanks to Wilson.
Oh yeah, exactly. Thank you, Wilson. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask. Like we have all the time in the world. So now that we have dealt with Venom quite extensively, I also wanted to talk about another aspect of your work, which is more so if you like field related, because you also spent quite some time working with Operation Wallacea or Wallacea. However you pronounce that, yeah, we've discussed this in the pre-live. I still don't know how to pronounce it after years, so yeah, my bad for that.
Believe me, I had the same problem, which I solved by calling it Opwall, and it's fine, you know.
Oh, yeah. So
just go for the nickname.
Again, for our audience, so like, what is Opwall, and what was your role in the organization?
Yeah. So I would say Operation Wallacea, or Opwall, is a very nice organization which I had the chance to come in contact with in 2016. It's basically allows you to do what is called let's say social active science. You know, in the sense that it involves a lot of volunteering, and allows you to travel around the world in some camps that it is around the world again, like Mexico, like Peru, like Madagascar, for example, and allows you to do what is in the end wildlife science, which is super nice. So being I just finished my master, so I was really a bit lost. You know, after getting my degree, I was like, okay, what do I do now? What I knew is
I relate to that.
Yes, I mean, everyone for sure gets the same feeling. The fact is that I was really looking for, you know, a chance to test myself, to try and understand what I wanted to do, because I didn't want to try and jump into a PhD just straight away. You know, I wanted to think about it. Of course, it was important. I wanted to see what I was good at and what I was lacking at. So in the end, I just had the chance. It was pure luck that. At some point, they were looking for someone to run herpetological surveys in their camps in Mexico, and I just got lucky. I was lucky enough to be chosen among the candidates. And I went there. It was fantastic. I have to be honest. I think it was probably the best field experience I ever had, and it was a bit of a life changer. It could sound like a bit of a cliche, but the fact is that, I mean, the wildlife that you see when you leave Italy, you know, just as a freshly, I don't know, just as a master student that just comes out from his degree, and I just as worked on some snakes there locally, and then you go straight into a neurotropical place, and every day you can easily find, I don't know, 7, 8 species of different snakes by walking maybe 10 kilometers around the jungle. It's fantastic. It was crazy. I was totally in love with it. I'm in love with Mexico after that. It was really a life changer because I realized that there were so many opportunities. And maybe I was tending to look a bit too much at the Italian range, opportunities that I could have. The possibilities that in the end your home country gives you. I was like, no, come on, there's world. There's world outside this. Why am I limiting myself this way? And again, it was great. Like, it was fantastic to deal with people coming from different cultures, of course. Like, I was not, of course, the only volunteer there. There were people from England, from Belgium, from Spain, and so on. And everyone with their story, and it was great. And of course, then you had this insane amount of wildlife because, of course, I was focusing mainly on reptiles and amphibians. But I mean, Mexico has jaguars, Mexico has howling monkeys, Mexico has an insane amount of birds, invertebrates. I couldn't even tell you how many scorpions I saw around, like in 2 months there in the jungle. So super cool experience. And that's what actually got me to say, okay, I think I really like this. That's what I should try to do, like field-based research. And Opal focuses more on conservation rather than evolutionary biology, which is a bit why maybe our ways departed a bit. Why in the end I didn't continue there. But for sure I will try to go there again because to work with them again, it's a very nice organization. It's super nice. I went with them twice. Once was in Mexico, and I went in 2018 with them in Peru, and again was very similar experience. Even if Mexico to me is at the top of everything at the moment.
Oh well, I'm definitely not surprised. Like like you said, as much as like we both know that that Italy has that the biodiversity and nature in Italy are definitely rich and interesting. Of course, you won't see a jaguar basically on your doorstep.
Yes, exactly. It's very unlikely. I'm not saying it's impossible, but
I mean, if it happens, I'd actually be more worried than happy. I mean,
absolutely, yes. Not something to be particularly happy about. But yeah.
So since I'm really interested in what you just described. So did you also get to work with like Mexican and Peruvian scientists or institutions while you were volunteering there?
What I had the chance to do is that, of course, when you go there, you're a foreigner. No, you come from abroad, of course. But the fact is that Opal really tries to include like locals into their wildlife science, which was super nice because in the end, you had the chance to come in contact with the locals, with the culture from there, and with people that maybe don't have your theoretical background, but they're amazing in the field. Like there are some. I remember very dearly actually. There was this guy in Mexico. He was a birder. He was called Claudio. We called him Don Claudio. He was amazing. Like he probably had, I don't know, primary education, nothing more than that. But he was just super passionate about birds, so he started reading and studying by himself. It was just amazing. He knew more than anyone else. So that was like the main the main context that we had there, like working with locals that of course were as passionate and of course were trying really to get a life out of it, to work in this sense, to develop their own, to be wildlife biologists in the end in these countries where sometimes it's not that easy to be a recognized wildlife biologist. They were trying their best and they were absolutely rocking it. They were super good.
Oh yeah, again, this is not the first time I hear a story like that, and that's also a good reminder that sometimes degrees only get you so far. Like in like that probably I'm probably in the situation we're in. I shouldn't probably go that much into this because like we're already in the middle of a pandemic and people are already tell us that our degrees are useless to begin with. So that's sort of
we're also talking about travels, and maybe it's not really a nice topic, to talk about at the moment. In this
Yeah, that's what I mentioned.
I mean,
Yeah, probably now Ignazio is thinking, well, why the hell did I accept to do this interview again?
just a little bit, but don't worry, I'm enjoying it.
Oh, me too, absolutely. But yeah, no, I definitely remember when I was talking to this with a wildlife biologist from sorry from Bangladesh, I believe. I can't recall right now. It was a few years ago, and he was working on turtles on a critically endangered turtle species. Endemic to the country, and he was working with a local community of indigenous hunters. And yeah, he was saying, yeah, if you give me like 5 PhDs and I take them looking for this turtle in the forest, they won't find any in a week or so. If you give me one hunter from this community, he will find 5 in a day.
Yeah. Of course, there is an ocean between like what you can learn like in theoretically and the kind of experience that you get on the field. And this was exactly like the reason why I started to do. I was trying to do a lot of field work wherever I could, in this phase between master and PhD, because I really wanted to try and fill these gaps. But of course, like there is no comparison. Come on, there's no comparison. There's no reason to talk about it.
Yeah, let's not kid ourselves. That's basically. And then we have another question from YouTube. So, among all the snakes you have been working with, which one has been the most surprising for you? Well, surprising is a very broad term, so I leave it to you to decide how to interpret it.
Yeah, surprising. Yes. What can I say? I can say that for sure one of my first venom snake, the first one that I was able to catch. Like, I'm Italian. I come from Europe. I spent there most of my life. Still, the first venom snake that I caught was a coral snake in Mexico. So I think I think I'm taking there with me. In my art. I think it has a special place for me. I was super proud, super excited to see it. I really wanted to see one, and yeah, they're not even that rare. Like you can find them more or less. I'm not gonna say everywhere, but even close to towns and villages, sometimes you do see them. I was super excited to see it. I remember, the kind of excitement. You're a herper, so you probably understand me.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
sometimes you get this kind of chills also behind the neck because it's a dangerous animal, so you try to be calm and everything. But I remember the excitement of seeing it, and it was just fantastic. I would say that was probably one of the most beautiful ones, and it was surprising because I found it. The one that I caught was at night during exactly in Mexico with I think we were doing a survey. We were on our pathological survey. Just it's literally the last snake. It probably happened also to you sometimes. Right before you go back to the camp, you find something cool, and that was exactly the case. Like it was, the snake that ends the night, and it was super nice.
Oh
As a
yeah.
matter
So,
of fact, I have it here as a bracelet, which was given me
oh,
from
that's
from a
that
Mexican.
looks so cool, man. Like,
No, yeah, it was a present actually from one of the cooks that was preparing us food, and they were of course lovely people in the camp where I actually got the coral snake. She saw me so excited, and she gave this to me. I'm super happy with it.
So yeah, so basically, that is, if you ever wondered like how a reptile obsessed person feels when they finally find their target species. Yeah, this is how we feel. It's basically the sensation, I would say, is pretty much like having sex, if I can be blunt about it. But
Yeah, well, so in this case, it depends on the snake because maybe
yeah,
sometimes.
no, absolutely.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I would say the same. I would say the same. But now that I think of it, maybe the most surprising one was actually again in Mexico when I was about to step on a fertile ant. which that was for sure
Ooh,
was
okay.
surprise. Yes, now that I think of it. Now that I think of it, yeah, that was pure surprise. It was, I mean, now that I think of it, I'm laughing about it. But when I realized that my foot was, I don't know, maybe 2 centimeters away from a coiled up baby Ferdinand just looking at me, I think I lost 10, between 10 and 30 years of life, for sure. That's how I lost all my hair. It was.
I mean, I have no problem believing that, and also, yeah, that is basically surprising, as in exhausting the entire repertoire of Italian swear words in your head. And
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
of them, guys. Believe me. So
yeah. I mean, as much as I was super happy to see it, because of course I also wanted to see a Ferdinand, I was petrified completely. Like the fear, knowing what even a baby, even a juvenile viper could do. I don't know. I really got super stressed. I still remember the fear. I would say yes, the terror, just staring like this. And this is another example of it. It doesn't matter how careful you go, like how much care you have for your feet when you go around in the jungle at night. An accident can always happen because, I mean, we were, it was three of us. Yes, we were three people. We had headlamps, we had sticks, and the snake hooks and everything to touching on the floor to be sure exactly not to step on it, on any of that. And I literally didn't step on it for, I don't know, literally 2 centimeters or something like that.
So
So
yeah, with a Ferdalas, it's so much harder because they are so damn good at camouflage. Like
yes,
it's
yeah,
insane.
exactly. It was perfectly camouflaged, and I mean, of course, looking at finding fertilizers in the day can already be tricky, even if you have the light, because exactly as you say, they blend in perfectly with the surroundings. But at night, I mean, that was pure luck. I didn't step on it. I didn't step on it for pure luck. That's it.
Yeah, well, and yeah, and now people, and now I'm pretty sure someone will be thinking, so you nearly escaped that, and you're still working with these animals now.
Could be, yeah, maybe. For sure, for sure that would have been like a very bad time. I wouldn't have had a lot of fun if I would be in there. But yeah, at the moment I'm not working with Fertilances, so I feel a bit safer, working with European Vipers.
Yeah, that's
But yeah,
yeah,
yes,
that goes all the way back to our first point. Like, yeah, I mean,
exactly.
as interesting as European vipers are, from a medical perspective, perhaps they're not as frightening as a Fertilans.
Yes. Also, I feel super lucky now that in Calvetta's lab they have a lot of antivenoms, so I'm sure you can provide
Oh
me
yeah.
one if something bad happens. But, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not familiar with how things work in Calvete's lab. So do you actually have a serpentarium with live snakes for venom supplies, or you just work by orders from venom suppliers?
No, this is the thing. We don't have a serpentarium, an herpetarium, I would say. It's not like for example, the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine. I don't know if you're familiar with them. I also
Yeah, yeah.
collaborated with them, and that is amazing. Like, I've been lucky enough to meet the people taking care of all the animals there. I had them all. They're amazing, and they work with an insane amount of species there. Like super varied number of Naya species. So I don't know. They have rattlesnakes. They have also Gila monsters, which are Paul's like almost private pet. They're particularly cute. So yeah, it's
Yeah, I totally agree.
totally cute, incredibly cute. Yes, insane amount of species. But no, here in Valencia, we just work with the venoms, which, luckily enough, Juanjo Calvete has created a very nice network. So he gets venoms literally from everywhere around the world. Um, it's super nice. Like at the moment, he's in a very good relationship. For example, with the the Snakebite Initiative. So he's
Oh
getting
yeah,
a lot of
lovely
venoms from Africa, working a lot of venoms from Africa, but also actually from Liverpool. They've collaborated um, with the people from Liverpool to study some of the venoms produced by some of the Akis, the saw-scaled vipers. that are kept there in Liverpool. So it's super nice. Like we have just like these 4 big fridges. You open them and they are full of lyophilized venoms of species that you just read on books, which is super nice.
Oh yeah, so yeah, basically it sounds a lot like what we had in the Venom Evolution Lab down in Brisbane, where I worked last year. So yeah, basically people, it looks like this. Like you have these huge freezers, like minus 80 degrees, something like that. You open them and you have racks full of boxes with venoms from, yeah, basically pick any species and you're likely to find it in there somewhere, even
Cool.
even stuff that you wouldn't expect sometimes, I would say.
No, absolutely. Like very recently I realized that among all the snakes there was also like Scopena, stonefish, and I was like, hey, weren't we studying just snakes? And Calveda was like, yeah, but they sent me this venom, so why not? Let's give it a try. For example, it's like you find unexpected stuff, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Makes perfect sense to me. So yeah, right now you're working on your PhD on the venoms of Iberian vipers and so on. After again, this is going to be probably the most dreaded questions. So after your PhD, like where do you see your future taking you?
Man, if I had an answer to that, I would be way happier. But no, of course, there is a question that I've asked myself a couple of times already, because now I'm doing my third year, and it's third year out of 4 of PhD. So yeah, let's see how this goes. There's still some stuff to be done for sure, and the pandemic slowed me down quite a bit. So let's see exactly when I finish. But anyway, what I have in mind is that definitely I would try to, I don't know, for instance, actually no, I really would like to try and work at the Clodomiro Picado in Costa Rica.
Oh,
I would like to go to Costa Rica to work at the Instituto Clodomiro Picado, because again, like what they were telling me, it's always like, yeah, I mean, you're Italian and European, and try to focus on local species, and first learn very well what you have in Italy, first learn very well what you have here, work on this, work on that. I'm in love with the tropics. I should go there. So I'm like, I wanna see Costa Rica. I wanna try and work with some of the species there, with some, of course, of the world leading experts, which are the people in Clodomiro Picado. They are amazing. I love the way they work. I love their works, and yeah, I hope I will have the chance to collaborate with them in the future.
yeah. So you're going back to Fer de Lances.
Hopefully, and this time I will bring boots. This time, like
Oh yeah,
strong ones.
that
Yes,
would be helpful. Yeah.
strong ones. Yes, I will try. But yeah, that would be amazing. Also, for example, well, one of my dreams is to work with the Bushmaster legacies. So if I have the chance to work with that, I would be extremely happy to work with that.
So yeah, for those of you who might not know, the Bushmasters, as if the name itself wasn't badass already, the Bushmasters are the largest vipers in the world. They get to at least the South American Bushmasters get to over 3 meters in length, which is absolutely insane. Like imagine a python and then picture a viper that size. I believe that says it all already. And they are such beautiful snakes, even aesthetically. So yeah, they are also high up on my list of species that I would love to see at least in the wild at some point before I die.
Yeah, it's understandable. I mean, they're among the most charismatic species of snakes for sure. So yeah, super cool. So much to do with them, and it's very nice to see that now there are, I think, at least 2 or 3 programs about the conservation of the genus, the conservation of Bushmasters, which is super nice. I recall seeing this kind of information from Facebook, for example. So it's nice to see that maybe we'll have the chance before they go extinct, which is super nice. So,
Oh yeah, they are definitely. Some of them are extremely threatened, and even the others probably more than we think, because yeah, we don't know that much about them. At least I'm not an
No,
expert in Bushmasters, but from the little I know, indeed we know quite little. So
yeah, exactly. Like they seem to be quite elusive, and of course they don't move them much, so you really have to go to the jungle a lot. You have to see exactly which is the perfect habitat. They're very attached, like they're strictly linked to pristine forests. So their habitat in the end is it's more or less always the same story with those species. The habitat is disappearing, and so the animals with them. Is the thing. But yeah, that's why I hope I'll be able to see one in the wild anytime soon.
oh yeah, I definitely hope you do, and I think I'm pretty confident that you will. And also, I will try. I will try as well, but yeah, we'll see about that. If there are any more questions to our guest Ignazio, now is your time to ask, since we are approaching the end of this talk. So feel free to drop your questions here in the comment section, even from YouTube if you are attending from there. And in the meantime, one last thing that I wanted to discuss with you is that indeed, yeah, you said that that you had this struggle between, yeah, like staying in Italy and specializing on our native herpetofauna, or making the big step of like moving abroad. So in your opinion, like, what, of course in the end it's a personal preference, but in your opinion, like, are there like solid reasons why a young Italian herpetologist or aspiring herpetologist would choose to stay in Italy? Like, are there any like real opportunities for good research or for a good career here in our country?
That's a very nice question, and I'm not sure I have the answer to that. But what I can tell you is that I left Italy, so maybe I tend towards the no. Let's say, let's say. No, I'm gonna be honest. Come on, jokes apart. Um, I left Italy first of all because I was curious. The main driver here was curiosity. Like, of course, I'm not saying that I know and I saw all Italian species. I'm not saying that I'm the greatest expert of Italian herpetological species and so. But the fact is that I found that, for example, snake species from the tropics or Siberian species were somehow more interesting to me. It's just a matter of personal taste, of personal preference. And for sure, I could have. I think I could have had the chance also to develop a career in Italy. Sure, why not? In the end, there are opportunities in terms of biodiversity. Again, I think Italy is one of the best countries in Europe. There are many things to be studied for sure, but the fact is that sometimes it's easier to do it abroad for a matter of reasons, for a number of reasons that are not necessarily linked to academia. They're not necessarily linked, for example, to the organism that you can study, but for other reasons that are maybe also mostly, I would say, also socio-economical. And here we will start talking, I mean, forever, um, personally, like to all my friends, to be honest, I tell them when they ask me, okay, what should I do? Should I try what exactly what they're saying now? Should I try to develop like a career in Italy, or should I try to go abroad? First of all, the first answer is it depends on what you want. I mean, if you want to study rattlesnakes, for sure you cannot do it from Naples. I mean, you can do it from Naples, but of course it would be better to be, I don't know, in Arizona or somewhere else, no, where actually rattlesnakes are. You can do it, but of course it would for sure help you to go around the world a bit, to get out of the Italian reality, and see other situations. Because first of all, it's very motivational. Like it helps you a lot. It motivates you a lot to see that there are maybe opportunities that you never even considered, in other parts of the world, which was exactly what I realized when I went to Mexico. Like, fantastic. There were people my age at the time I was 26. They were already lecturers at university, which is something that I would love to be. And they were like, yeah, we can do that. I don't know. For example, in England, sometimes it can happen. Sure. I just asked and I became a lecturer. This kind of thing.
Oh,
Like,
wow,
wow.
that sounds easy.
Yes. I don't know if this was exactly the case, but yeah, this is the thing. Like, in general, I would always recommend to get out of your comfort zone and try and look around a bit, because for sure you're missing something. If you stay in your same reality, for sure you're not even considering some opportunities that are maybe the ones that suit you the best, and you just don't know it.
Oh yeah, I think that sums it up. That sums it up perfectly. Yeah, and in the end, it becomes like you said, it depends on everyone's individual goals and preferences. But still,
Totally.
yeah, I totally agree that at least some experiences, getting experience outside of some of your comfort zone is something that definitely that we all need especially in this profession, perhaps.
I think
So
so. I think so. I think I agree with you 100%. To be fair.
yeah, exactly. As cliche as it sounds, but it's true. So yeah, that's
Yes.
what else do you want us to say?
That's it.
So yeah, I see there doesn't seem to be any more questions. So thank you so much again, Ignazio, for joining us today. It was an extremely interesting talk for me at least, but I'm sure our audience enjoyed it as well.
My
Best of
pleasure,
luck
Lorenzo. My pleasure. Thank
best of
you.
luck for your work and for your PhD. And
Thank you.
we at the Snakeman's Lair, we will be back next week, next Saturday, specifically with another great guest, Becky Friesen, conservationist and entomologist from Canada. So don't forget, of course, to subscribe to my apps and my YouTube channel to get all the updates about future broadcasts. And if you know someone whose work, whose research you believe should be given space on here, feel free to let me know. Contact me at all times, or if you yourself want to present your work, you're all so welcome to do so. So feel free to contact me at any time, and I hope to see you all again next week. Goodbye and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Again, it was a pleasure, and see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.